I'm Rachel. This is Let Me in the Library. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. I wanted to climb out of my hidey hole where I have been not posting for a while to actually talk about some upcoming books that I'm really excited about. And I haven't really heard anybody else talking about these yet, so I figured I would make a video. And if you come across these books in your travels, definitely let me know. I broke these down into different genres generally, so I'm going to go in that order, and you can click around and try to find whichever genre most appeals to you. So without further ado, let's get started with the first book. So first off, I'm looking at the romance genre. So first off is Purple Mountain Majesties. This is the Red, White, and Royal Blue follow-up. This is actually a sequel that's coming out, which is really exciting. I think a sequel would be super exciting. There's so many people in this community that would be really, really thrilled to read that. So I'm actually super surprised nobody has mentioned that at all on booktube. There's a couple that most ice skating fans are very, very excited about and have been begging for a book for. So I actually found a book that's called Noir Virtue, which is basically kind of like a subtle, not so subtle thing between Tessa Virtue and Scott Noir. So like their Moulin Rouge performance, of course, devastated people for years. So turning that into a book, mind blown. So also for those of you who are really into hockey romances, there's a new book coming out. It's called Puck Me Girl. I guess that, like, I don't know, is that like fuck you, or is that supposed to be like pick me? I'm not sure, but that one's coming out, so that'll be something to pick up for those of you who are interested. And for those of you who are big Swifties, I think the Tortured Poets Department Taylor's version, the Triple Deluxe Poetry Collection, would be something that would interest you. I can't believe we're finally getting this. This is so exciting. Like, I mean, I'm assuming this will come out after the album, but the fact that this even like exists at all as a poetry collection is just so genius. So her like releasing that together as a like bind up and collection just makes sense. Like All Too Well, where she did the whole thing with the author at the end, like being the author. It was a clue. Also, I'm not super into Colleen Hoover, but I know there are a lot of people who are, especially from the It Ends With Us, and then eventually the It Starts With Us new book that came out kind of recently. This new one is just called It Ends. So yeah. Next is in the Twisted Love series by Ana Huang. I know a lot of people have read that series, whether you love it or you hate Reddit or something, but that has Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, Twisted Lies, and the newest book in that collection is just Twisted Ankle. So yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of information on what the plot is, but I guess it's kind of self-explanatory, so that works for me. And if Twisted Love is not quite your cup of tea, but you're still interested in dark romances, maybe on the more like comedic side of dark romances, which has been pretty popular now, I'm pretty excited about My Dark Blart, which is a dark romance featuring Paul Blart. Like, I get it. Like, dream matchup. So it just, I don't know how they're getting away with this kind of stuff. Like, it's a spicy romance that everyone is going to pick up. I just know it. Next, also in that same vein of things, something I never thought I would be saying, but Goose Humps is a new series that's coming out, and it's by R.L. Stine, but it's just like sexier versions of Goosebumps. So I think there'll be kind of a huge audience for the people who are very nostalgic for Goosebumps, but also people who are getting new into the genre of like dark romance, or like existing fans of the genre but want to like do something related to this old school, very, very fun like series that so many people grew up with. So Goose Humps coming soon. Moving into the next genre, speaking of the last one, if there's something that you appreciated from your childhood or were devastated by from your childhood, maybe it was, for me, The Giving Tree. And actually there's a kind of like new version of it coming out, I guess for new audiences, but it's called It's Giving Tree. So I feel like it's probably going to be the same story, but maybe it's just like updated lingo for more of the like Gen Z audience. So we'll see. It's giving 5 stars, honestly. Next, we're moving into the thriller genre. So I've recently gotten really into Riley Sager, so I'm really excited about seeing where his thrillers take us in the future. And I know that there's actually a thriller that's coming out kind of soon in June of his, but I think he's actually going to do kind of like a double release. So I'm pretty excited. This one's called Hot Girl Summer. I just loved the other books that I've read by him for the most part, like especially the newer ones. So if it's following the same vein, I think it would be really fun. And also Grady Hendrix is another author that I have read quite a few books by. His stuff does tend to be like a little bit more like gross and visceral, but I'm pretty surprised. So he actually is teaming up with Michelle Zauner, who wrote Crying in H Mart, and together they're writing a book called Summoning Demons in H Mart, but the H stands for hell. So it's Summoning Demons in Hell Mart. Oh, Bandit, you didn't like that? So Summoning Demons in Hell Mart. And I think that'll be like a weird twist on everything. It's not what I would expect, but I kind of get it. Like, I think it could work. Lastly, there is a book featuring an unreliable narrator. Of course, we know it, we love it, the domestic thriller genre. It's called My Husband Might Be a Murderer, but I Like Alcohol, so who can you really trust? And that is the question that's really on everybody's minds reading these kinds of books. Like, you really need to know, like, can I trust this person? Like, if they have one mental illness, does that mean they're lying forever? Those are the real questions that domestic thrillers are posing and that we really need to, like, concern ourselves with. Next, we're moving into literary fiction. This is kind of a short genre section in this video. First off is Devastatingly French, which is the long-awaited sequel of The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. So exciting that she's actually, like, continuing with that. I know she's done so many other books since then, but I guess she's like going back to this really wildly popular book, especially now that it's blown up on Book Talk. And then also another book that has definitely blown up on Book Talk, whether it should be or not, is A Little Life. And Hanya Yanagihara is actually coming back with a new book, which is called A Lot of Depression. So I'm not sure if it's, oh, sorry, it's a reprint of the original book. It's actually not a new book. It's just more honest this time, I think. Next, we're moving into the sci-fi and fantasy genre. I love the Red Rising series. I've only really read the original trilogy, and I know there's like an offshoot additional trilogy that I haven't really gotten to yet, but I know there's like the newer book that's supposed to be coming out around, I think, July or something. But I think the final book is going to be called Scorpio Rising. So that's pretty exciting that we finally like have a cover reveal. We have the title. We have everything that we need. We just need him to finish the book at this point. Also on my list, I'm seeing a book called Crown of Lies. So this is by Kate Corain, who wrote Crown of Starlight, which unfortunately got canceled for some reason. I don't know. But this is actually going to be a bind up of Kate Corain's fan fiction that she wrote to herself about herself, and I think it's mostly actually just Discord chat, so it's probably going to be more of like a thinner novella, if I'm getting that right. Next is a book by R.F. Kuang. I love her, you know her, you'll love her, she writes amazing stuff, and this book is just called straight up like the best book ever. And I get that. I think she's like being very self-referential in that way, that she's like, I know I'm a good author. I know whatever I write, you're going to rate 5 stars and it will change you forever. So the best book ever by R.F. Kuang. I mean, can you say anything else? Like, I'm so excited. Next is a Brandon Sanderson book. This isn't really like an upcoming release in the sense of like coming out soon, but I did find out about it, so I figured I would include it in this video. It's Elantris 2 Electric Boogaloo, but it's actually going to come out after he finishes all of the fairy tales and like the side stories and stuff that he's currently doing for the rest of the Cosmere books. So it's projected to wrap around 2055. But at that point, we will be getting Elantris 2 Electric Boogaloo, which I'm pretty excited about. I'm partway through Elantris 1 right now, so I'm pretty sure I will be able to probably read all of the Cosmere by the time this book comes out. So at least I have something to look forward to. But I did go and see the Dune movies recently, so now I'm getting into Dune, the books. And I understand the first few books were written by Frank Herbert, and then some of them were picked up after he passed away by his son, Brian Herbert, and he is now writing one of the new books that's coming out. It's called Do You Wish Your Sandworm Was Lisan Al-Gaib? Honestly, that guy's book naming conventions has never made sense to me, but what can you do? I mean, he's related to the guy, so like, he's got the power. And then also there's a bold new direction for Rebecca Yarros, famous author of Fourth Wing, another book that has really blown up for a lot of people on social media. So, Bandit. Bandit wants to be in this one, I guess. Rebecca Yarros is going in a bold new direction, so I know that she just announced Onyx Storm, which is the 3rd book in the Fourth Wing trilogy, and now she's going to be doing something that's kind of like almost a rewrite of some things with Fourth Wing. I know some people had problems with Iron Flame as a sequel, maybe because it was like kind of a rushed job. So she's going to be kind of like redoing some of that first part of the series in a new book. It's called Chicken Wing. She says there will be politics, new adventures, old enemies, and of course, chicken tendies. So I'm curious to see if this will like somehow fit with Onyx Storm that's been announced, if they'll like fit together, or if she's also going to make like a new version of the third book, because that'd be pretty interesting. And of course there's also the very famous Fonda Lee. Everything Fonda Lee writes, I love. It is so good. This is just Fonda Lee's grocery list. The New York Times says, gut-wrenching, I'm so unwell I couldn't get up for days. I mean, I'm preemptively agreeing with the New York Times on this one. I think they've got it in the bag. Lastly, we're in the memoirs and nonfiction section of this video. First off, we have a self-help book. I guess it's kind of like in vein with a lot of the other books that are also like, you know, unfuck yourself and the subtle art of not giving a fuck. It's called Fuck You. Next up, we have a memoir by none other than Zac Efron, but as Troy Bolton, but it's called The Music and Me. Really fun for everybody who's super into High School Musical. It's such an iconic like movie series and everything that we grew up with, for people of my generation at least, and it is so much fun. So I'm excited to see what he has to say in his memoir. Lastly is this other piece of nonfiction. It is actually like a super thin pamphlet. I feel like it's only going to be like 3 pages, so I don't even know why she bothered publishing this. But it's by Emily Henry, and it is an honest look at that one chapter where Poppy pees the bed and people we meet on vacation, since nobody else apparently remembers that. So those are all of the books I'm really excited about that are coming out. I cannot wait for like pretty much the huge majority of these, but for other ones I thought other people should be aware of them because, you know, again, I haven't seen anybody talking about any of these books and I don't understand. Like, so many of them are such big like popular series, or other ones are ones that I just think like everyone would be kind of remotely excited about in the circles that I'm in. If there's anything I mentioned that you're really excited about, let me know in the comments. And that's everything I have for you today. So I'm Rachel, this is Let Me in the Library. I'll see you next time. Bye!